Zinzan, it's a couple of days before the quarterfinal. What's your level of security about what's going to happen?
I'd love to give you a clear answer, but I'm actually a little bit unsure of that because what we've seen on both sides in this Rugby World Cup has been it's quite clear that both sides can play. We'll use Ireland at the moment in time here that they've demonstrated and they've executed a couple of good games against the Blacks where they beat us. So they've probably got the upper hand, but an element of confidence within the Irish team. I think potentially that they could do it, but I think right at this moment in time here, the I think with the All Blacks and what they've done, certainly against South Africa. Yes, they had a couple of easy games through that there, but actually just on the day, I think Ireland will rise to do that here. But I just think the timing of where Ireland are right now, I just think that it's going to be tough going. So I would probably say at the moment, I think All Blacks going into the game would be probably favourites. But hey, we've said that before and we've come unstuck.
We may have to rely on something like that because Ireland have been a little bit underwhelming. We are trying to lull you into a false sense of security, or at least that's what we think. A lot of the New Zealand pundits are pretty much writing Ireland off. You're not in that boat.
That's dangerous when you start doing that. Yes, I know visually what you've seen here, and look, you have to commend a team that did what they did. You have to say Japan. They were just unbelievable. Ireland didn't lose that. Japan won that game, and that was a big difference. But it set down a marker and the tempo for what the Japanese did in that pool thing. But Ireland, actually on the day, with an element of confidence and just getting it right on the day. Yeah, but I think it's going to be a tough job. So I'm not ever going to discount the Irish off because you just know they can actually deliver. And it's very similar to like the other games. You just have a moment, and if the All Blacks wobble, and if Ireland sees it, Joe Smith he'll be good enough to actually find it out. But the key thing is for me is Ireland's 9 and 10 are critical to the progression of where they're going to end up.
Normally, when you see New Zealand coming into a World Cup, normally I'm saying the last 2 or 3 World Cups they've been a really settled side,
Yep.
very comfortable with the players that are going to be there. But the last 12 months, New Zealand have changed a lot.
Yep.
And in this particular game, they've dropped Ryan Crotty out of the 23 and they've dropped Ben from number 15. So
Yep.
suddenly, they're 2 guys that you would have said at the start of the year would
Yep.
have been guaranteed nailed on starters, and they're not even in the 23.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be careful of saying players dropped. Ryan Crotty's a special player, but I think it's actually a little bit of a blessing for the Blacks that they have the capabilities of actually asking the question of guys who are 25, 26, 27, 28 in the squad number of them, and they're doing it exactly the same. For me, you look at the situation on the lock situation where you've got Barrett who's now on the bench. For me, I would have probably. I know Brodie Retallick is a special individual, but the fact that he's actually playing time, he's got 30, 32 minutes, 35 minutes in the last 6 weeks aerobically. I don't know where he is, but apparently I've been told from a good source that he's doing a lot of aerobic fitness and he'll survive the game. He just needs to demonstrate 60 minutes because we know that Barrett will come on, and not only will he'll actually add to the game, and that's the difference. Whereas when you're sort of talking about the 15 players, have Ireland got the capabilities? When you look at it on the paperwork here, you just think, right, these are starting 15. Yep, I can match those. Right, now you call on the bench on 45 minutes to 55 minutes. Then you see where the difference in these guys here, who have got a lot of test experience on the bench here, and I think that's going to be a big telling story.
Does the fact that Ireland have beaten New Zealand twice over the last number of years, does that rankle? I know you're still bitter. I scored a couple of tries against New Zealand about 25 years ago, but it does rankle. But does it sow a seed of doubt into the All Black mentality?
What it does is actually reset our dial. It resets the dial for the All Blacks, and all of a sudden here, you just sort of, like you've touched on here, I think 2011, 2015, the All Blacks, I just felt they had a solid team here. Going into the quarterfinals, they knew exactly which that team, midfield, loose forwards, tight five, done deal. And that picked itself here, so you didn't have to worry about that. I just think here, for this Ireland team here, it's going to be tough going, but there's an opportunity for them to actually do the impossible, but that's.
Well, it's not impossible.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not impossible. But you sort of think here, when you scratch your head, as like you and I experienced ex-rugby players, you sit there and just think, logistically, how is it going to be possible? And I know right now, because I've actually had a chat to a couple of the boys in Japan. He just said, you're gonna watch this All Black team here. They're gonna turn up and they're gonna do some damage.
Yeah, no, that's the word I was actually looking for. I couldn't have propped that up better. After the game in 16, we played another game over here the following week. It was a brutal test, very, very physical. The laws have changed since then. You know, anything above the shoulder, you know, you're gone. Yes. You're marched off the field. And yes, there's mitigation, and sometimes there isn't, sometimes there isn't. And there's been criticism about that over this World Cup. Yet for the most part, it's making the game and will make the game safer. Will the All Blacks have the composure? Because they're going to want to put down a physical marker. Have they the composure to keep that in check? Because they lost it a little bit. You mentioned Scott Barrett earlier on. Do you think there's a chance of them going over the top?
Look, it's tough for all sides here, and I just think here, coming back to the tackle law here for the zero tolerance, and I'm actually behind that. I think, look, it's the well-being. Rugby's not the only sport, and I'm trying to promote rugby to actually keep it clean. And the referees don't have a lot of options in the end. The zero tolerance, I think we might actually have to have one World Cup as the VAR system actually, because I'm looking at that there, and you sort of sit there and it's quite shocking just in terms of the numbers. You might correct me or not, but I think there's 7 or 8 red cards and there's about 18 or 19 yellow cards. Now that doesn't bode well for little wee Johnny that's playing at 8 years old when mum takes him to training run, and they said, well, you don't want to play that. That potentially could be an exciting individual, but I think it's a difficult thing, but it's a big subject. But I think it's trying to clean up.
Well, there is a touch of the law of unintended consequences. But if it brings the level down lower, if it promotes better tackle technique, I think it actually can bring more people into the game instead of out of the game. But it is a bit of a shock. But it would have been a shock whether it was a red card or not.
Yes.
So I think we can get past that fairly quickly. If we just move on to the game, that was a fantastic answer because you didn't answer it, right? Can you just get back to actually, will they have that composure, do you think?
I think they will. They will know, and the All Blacks will keep themselves composed and get the tackles. I think they'll complete it and absorb everything that Ireland will throw at them. But it's the big difference like now is just to see whether actually Ireland can actually absorb that themselves, because I think they're going to be on more of the receiving end of the attack, so they're going to have to be doing more defence. So at the same time Ireland need to actually watch the defensive side of things as well. So
any drop goals from Kieran Reid?
Any drop goals? I don't think he needs to do that. There's a couple of good players in the back line that can manage that there. No, he doesn't need to do that.
Okay, give me a prediction.
I've gone 37-19 to the Blacks.
Go on.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to nab you after the game. You know that, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see whether you can back that up or whether your team back it up. So we'll talk after the game.
Okay.
Cindy, thanks a million.
Pleasure.